Hey guys, welcome into Nebraska football at the voice of college football. I'm not going to waste your time too much with this. If you like what we're doing, please consider liking and subscribing. But we have some news to be very excited about. I know it's a visit, but due to Matt Rule's closing rate on some of these visits that I went over on the last Tuesday live stream, visits are important because he usually converts them to commits, especially the most recent months when he's had time to build those connections, build those foundations. The person we're talking about today, Michael Terry, is the number one athlete in the state of Texas. He is 6'3", 210. Some places have him listed to 215, so I went with the bigger size typically. Um, his overall rating, 93. I went with the 93 because I used the number one athlete, so I wanted to go with that. 24/7 Sports Composite has him as a 97, but the second ranked athlete, number 8 in the state of Texas. And as you can see here, the offer list, there's a lot. And Nebraska was able to lock in an official visit, which means something. So let's go ahead and let's get into him a little bit. He plays everywhere. You see QB, DB, wide receiver, running back. I have listed there. I even got he's punter on film. You see a little bit of everything. However, I just wanted to break down some of the key plays, and specifically the wide receiver position, because that's where I project him playing. He's a little bit big for a running back. So I think he's going to be kind of like an X receiver, potentially DB. We'll see what happens, but I tend to focus more on the wide receiver stuff with his film because that's what the majority of it is outside of running back. But the majority is wide receiver. So we're going to go with that, and I'm going to dive into the film. I made my mouse cursor a little bigger. I heard y'all's feedback last time, so I wanted to make sure that not only can you see my cursor, but it's big enough to where you can see it, because last time I'm recording on one screen and I have the film on the other. And so when I'm recording on this stream, I see the film on this screen. My mouse is on this screen, but if my mouse pointer is not on the actual window, it's not going to show. So I appreciate everybody pointing that out last time. But enough of me blabbing. Let's just go ahead and get into what you came here for. So I'm going to go ahead and pull, the film up on him real quick. And I'm going to go into some of the details that, we really want to focus on when it comes to the wide receiver. And I'm going to remove some of this stuff from the screen. But, you really want to make sure that when you're looking at film, and I have pros and cons, but there's not a lot of cons. You want to play fast, never be rushed, be in control at all times. Trust your technique, and then everything will take care of itself. Okay, so let's go ahead and dive into it. I'll show you a little bit of what I'm talking about here. So let's go ahead and fire this up if it'll play. All right. So play one. All right, right off the gates. Okay, so you can see right here, we're going to focus on, we're going to break this down molecularly. Stance, okay? Let's look at his stance. Right now, a pretty good stance, good pad level. You would like probably this shin to be a little bit more forward. However, the route he's about to run, you can see why potentially he's in this, but you want this to be consistent every time. Good job of having his hands, low, not crossed, so that way he can, explode out of his break. This defender right now looks like he's in press man, undersized press man, might be head up, maybe a little shaded to the inside. So we're going to focus on what he does out of this break here. So let's pay attention to his first couple steps. We're going to let it run if it'll play. All right. So you see right there, first step off the line, it's a little split step. Okay. But he does have to take an extra step to get going, but that's probably because this is split set, so I won't focus too much on that. But he's balanced right here. Perfect. You got to square your hips up. The first thing you want to look for is when you do the split, when you do this, you want to make sure that both of your feet land before you make your move, before you make your attack. So what he does here is he's going to fake inside, right? Just that little stutter step inside. He just stemmed inside, a quick little step, and then look at his break here. So what he's doing is he's attacking this hip, this outside leverage. Now his hips are going that direction already, but he trusts his ability to be able to get around him and get up this sideline. So what he does here, you see him immediately use his hands. Okay, so off the line, he's going to burst. He's going to shed those hands immediately, and he's going to get upfield. Sheds the hand right there. One little shed up. Now this guy's already playing catch up. No over the top help. All he needs to do here, as you'll see he does a good job of, is as he comes up the field, he keeps the red line. What the red line is, it's about 5 yards, from the sideline, and what this does is it gives the defensive or the receiver the ability, or the quarterback the ability, to fit it in on that sideline, instead of allowing the DB to force you to the sideline and have to make a potential errant throw or not have enough room to make the throw. Gets upfield quickly, goes up, gets the ball at its high point. Great play there. Okay. Play 2. All right. So this one is a little bit, it's going to be outside leverage. The DB has a little bit of outside leverage. And as you can see, it's kind of like a little bit out of the frame here, but outside leverage cornerback. And he has help over the top with the upside safety here. Okay. So the cornerback here has outside leverage, as you can tell. And essentially he is going to, and you see a stance, you like the stance there again, a little bit, he's leaning a little bit. You would like him to be a little bit more set on his back foot, a little bit more of his balance and base underneath him. But when you're a tall receiver, sometimes this is the case. Okay. So boom, first step, plants. Okay. All right. Right there. You see it's 1, 2, 3 break, right? 1, 2, 3 break. And then he drops the hips to load them, and you want to roll off of the foot and not necessarily lift it. So he's doing, the perfect steps. He does the 3 steps and then a diamond release, right? So the diamond release, he's going to widen his base. What he does here is a good job of widening his base. So that way, if you're stutter stepping, you never sell the hips, you never sell the fake. So he sells this fake inside, but not only does he sell the fake inside with his lower body, he sells it with his upper body, right? Look at his eyes, look at his upper body, right? He sells it with his entire body. And what that does is that's going to create an opening, and he doesn't waste any movement. It's 1, 2, 3 step and go. So the defender cheats inside because he probably has that little bit of over the top help. I don't know why my camera shut off there for a second, but let's try to get that back on. But essentially he's going to stem outside, and now you see him kind of rake across with the outside hand. He kind of, swim moves the defender, and then he gets upfield. And what he does right there, so he stems towards the sideline. He knows that there's potentially over the top help because he probably looked at the coverage before. It's what every receiver should do. Once he had that break on that first cornerback, that was it was even playing off of him, but he stemmed inside, got outside, and essentially what that did is there opened up a little bit of a void right there. And that defender over the top, his eyes were late getting over. And so he's able to fit that in a perfect window there, and really good adjustment on the ball by him going up and getting that, and really good concentration to be able to fight through the contact and fight through that defensive back, holding onto his arms, secures the ball. All right, moving on. Let's go to play 3 here. Okay, so this one is going to be just pretty much a simple kind of little screen play. But what we want to pay attention here to, let me get this over here real quick. Okay, so what we would pay attention to here is on this screen. This is all I wanted to point out on the screen. So, all right, he's going to step, catch. Okay, his eyes are at field after he catches the ball, which is what you want to look for. All right, here's the blockers. Okay, so we have this blocker right here. This one's kind of set up. Okay, and these are still setting up. So he's going to let his blocks kind of do their thing before he attacks. Okay. Now, what you see here is you see this blocker engaged. Okay, this blocker engaged. This blocker right here is already kind of pushing this inside shoulder. So he's going to be forcing him out to the sideline. So what Michael Terry sees there is he sees this blocking developing in front of him, and he attacks immediately. As soon as he sees that, watch him plant and go. Right there. He plants, drives. This guy's still getting the outside. This guy is pinned off to the outside as well. You have this guy engaged in a block. 22 is not going to be able to make it. There's no pursuit angle that he can take right there to make that. There's too many bodies in his way. And he just plants and goes. And his speed, he's not necessarily twitchy because, he's a big dude, but he is fast. He is very fast for his size. And once he gets up to speed, look out. All right. Play 4 here. Okay, so what we're going to do, this is him at defensive back. So I wanted to spotlight just this one play at defensive back because it is a really good play because the receiver actually does some good here, and he's able to defend it well. And when you understand both wide receiver and defensive back, it makes the opposite side better. If you understand defensive back, play defensive back well as a wide receiver, vice versa. Okay. I mean, defensive backs are basically receivers without hands. That's what I played. So, um, but there's no over the top coverage, right? You see right here, this is very much probably just a man look. You have this guy right here, but he's probably not going to drop back in coverage. So let's see how this plays out. All right. So you're going to watch the receiver's first step here. All right. So the receiver is going to make one of those split cuts, like we talked about in the first route. Okay. And then what he's going to do from there is watch as he gets up top of the route. All right. Watch this slide step. Watch this lead foot right here. He's going to do a little bit of a slide step. And what the slide step is designed to do is it's going to try to get the defender cheat in one direction. Right. Okay. So right now, the defender has inside leverage. Well, Michael Terry is inside leverage. Okay. So what he's going to do is watch this front leg and watch him kind of glide it. He's not going to plan it. He's just going to like take a couple steps, almost like a hop step, and glide it. Okay. And then he's up and then he plants and he's up. All right. Michael Terry does a good job of keeping him to the outside, right? And he knows that he is inside leverage and he stems this outside. So the ability for Michael Terry to identify this and, he has outside leverage, but you see Michael Terry's hips stay with him. And that's the biggest thing. His hips stay with him. He followed. And now watch, he's trying to take this route vertical, but now he's going to have to stem off and take it to the outside. Okay. He plants there, but as you can see, he's not really selling the inside fake very well. He is stepping, but Michael Terry's already got all the inside leverage. So that inside fake is not going to work when he has inside leverage. Not really going to fake him out. So he goes here to the sideline, right? Doesn't snap his head around immediately, and he kind of rounds us off a little bit, but immediately gets his eyes around there, turns back to the quarterback. Quarterback is under duress. He actually has a route up here. Quarterback's under duress, okay? So these guys right here are probably going to catch him. And so he probably sees that. He knows that he's not going to be able to get his feet squared in time to be able to loft this ball probably where it needs to be or get it deep. So what does he do? Watch him right here. He understands what's going on. He's going to step up as soon as he makes his break out and baited him right into the throw. And he trusts his size. He knows his size. He knows his leverage. He knows how to use it. And he's going to get up and get that ball. I'm going to turn my camera back on in a second. It's just, I think it died on me. So, all right, let's move on to the next play here. Oh yeah, and then he gets upfield. Yeah, he can move. We'll let that play out so y'all can just see. All right, now I'm going to slide it over to about 1 minute 11 seconds here. All right, this one right here. Cool. All right, so what we do here, what we want to focus on is his stance. Good. Again, stance is very good. He has a quick first step off of here, off the line. So watch. Quick first step. All right, you see that little shuffle, that little shuffle of the feet right there. Now he's got this foot in a position to where he can drive inside, and he's also a little bit squared. Now the defender's hips are squared. He's definitely playing man. You see where his eyes are. His hips are squared, so he hasn't got him cheating just yet. But he does 1, 2, 3 break, which is exactly what you want to do. No wasted steps. It's a 1, 2, 3. Make your break. Okay, so right there. He understands that this defender's squared up with him. So what does he do? He plants that outside foot. Just watch. Plants that outside foot, right? And then gets the defender's hips fully squared. Now, once he has his hips open and the defender's hips are fully squared, let it run through again. All right, defender's hips are squared. He is already making that outside break. He is still trying to slide over into position when his hips should be open already. Look at his hips. Look at his hips. So his hips should be kind of already going this direction. None of his body is going the direction he wants to go. And that, look at his balance. He's off balance right here because instead of turning his hips up the field, he tried to stay in front of him and he tried to shuffle in front of him. and you have no balance that way. Your feet, when your feet are squared, you're not going to have a lot of balance. What you want to do is, it's like when you're boxing, for instance. If you have your feet square, or rock the boat, right? This is what we call it in boxing. Let's say you're on a boat and it's rough seas, and you're out there, and what are you going to do to balance in this boat? Are you going to stand with your feet square and kind of, balance, or are you going to stand with your feet kind of straddled, so that way you have your center of gravity, you have a nice base? If you're standing like this and you get one little push, you're going backwards. All right. If you're standing square and you get a push forward, you're going forwards. But if you have a good base behind you and below you, then you're going to be in a good position. And he always does a good job of keeping his base. He doesn't play too fast, right? He trusts his instincts, he trusts his skills, he trusts his leverage. And we'll see a little bit later what I'm talking about in that regard. But watch this defender. The defender is already off balance. He recognizes that the defender is off balance. And what does he do? He gets physical, right? He goes ahead and puts an arm into him, sheds that arm, right? If the defender wants to put an arm into you, play back. Okay. Don't overdo it. Just shed the arm. Okay. And right here, again, does a really good job of maintaining his red line. The cornerback tries to fill the space and force the sideline. Like I said, he shed the arm and doesn't let him. And he holds his red line well. The defender actually made up good ground. Probably, he's quick, but that extra step that he already has on that defender, and the fact that he maintained the red line, he did get pushed a little bit towards the sideline, but that's fine. He was in a position to where he could do that right by the end zone, and the quarterback was able to drop it in there. Just great concentration, great catch. All right, so let's move forward to 207. Okay, let me back that up just a touch. All right, so you see him down here to the bottom of your screen. Okay, so first things first. Another thing that you want to focus on is the hands. I pointed this out before, but the reason being is the hands are very important, because let's use another boxing reference, right? If you square up to fight somebody, you want your hands up and open, right? As a receiver, you want your hands up or down. And what I mean by up or down is you don't want to come to the line with your hands crossed, right? Because then you have to uncross your hands to then make the play. Okay. So you want to be as quick as possible, no wasted movements. So you want to have your hands already set. Okay. And here, great first step, really good first step, aggressively sells it. But he sells that first step so good, and the burst is excellent, right? It's one of the better bursts we've seen, but it's for a screenplay. So he sells it very well. He swings his hips around. The block's going to set up. It's a little slow screen, so he's patient. Waits for the ball to get in. And now look at his blocking setting up front. Let's let it run. Okay, so he makes an immediate cut because, right here, it's not good to cut across. So you have two defenders here blocked. You have one defender here, and then three guys, and you have a couple guys coming from this side. Okay, so he understands. This is a terrible angle by this guy, but he understands that he can probably beat him if he plants and takes that step. Now, these blockers are forcing them outside. You have this blocker, and you have this guy to beat. Okay, so this is really the only guy out here. This guy's probably going to be picked up by him. Let's let it run. Okay, so right there, he sees that. You see them setting the edge or setting the inside for him. You see this guy coming up to take on him. This guy's just going to get out of the way. He's too slow to make it across, and he's just going to get in his way. So what he does is he, again, plants his foot and goes. There's no wasted movement. Right there, he sees that he knows that he can probably beat this guy. It's a one-on-one. With him, one-on-one, it's going to be tough. So he sees that he can probably beat this guy. He's a couple blocks up here. Let it run. And just fights through everything. It's just, just pure skill on display. Play 7 here. This one, I can't tell if his hands are crossed. It's really hard to notice right there, but he doesn't do it a lot. So if it is crossed, that's fine. All right. So again, he's going to, shin position's good. When you're off your break, let me point out shin position. Sorry, I'm trying to show y'all a couple things that to focus on here. In this wide receiver film. And what I mean with the shin, right? The shin position right here, right? It's forward. His toes forward, right? There's no twisting in to try to get, your cleat in the grass. You don't want to do that. You want to keep your toe forward. That way you don't have to move your toe the direction you want to go and then go. Let's say you twist your toe a little inside pigeon toed, trying to get your cleat in there, you need to go outside. Well, that is an extra step that you have to take to get out. So good off the break and shin position good, and then uses his speed and athleticism to get up. Okay, so that play was a little bit taken by the camera angle, but I just wanted to focus on those little points in his stance. All right, now let's go over to the next play. Okay, right here. This is again, he is a little bit probably his base is good, a little bit out over the front toe. His head is in towards the ball, which is exactly where you want to be. Now, this is probably my favorite break of his. All right, so right there, immediately, right, what? No wasted movement, right? He rolls off the front toe. All right, so instead of lifting that front leg up, that front foot up, you want to roll off the toe. So what does he do? Rolls off the toe, and now he's in a split stance. Okay, he's got this guy, press man, squared up hips. Now let's see what move he makes here. Okay, so the DB is squared up, so he can try to take outside or inside leverage. So what does he do here? He's going to take, again, a big step. You don't want to take short, choppy steps. You want to take this big step if you're trying to throw the defender's leverage off to really sell it. And in this instance, the defender is squared, right? Let's see. But what makes this play is that little right there. He doesn't get too far into the defender. If you get too far into the defender, then you run the risk of him jamming you. If he jams you, then it's going to be harder to break away and release on that route and get a step on him. So he doesn't get too far into the defender. He gets close enough to make his move. You see that little plant right there, and he's out, right? His hips are still not upfield. His hips are facing inwards, and his hips and all of his momentum is already going forward, and he stays within himself. Good balance. Doesn't try to overrun it. Takes it vertical. And, the defender fell because he's trying to play catch up at that point. So, all right, let's move over to play 9. Let me see. All right. There you go. We'll let that play first. Blocking. Okay. These are the little things that show up on that. This is probably my favorite play on the film yet, because what you got to understand about football is how you play without the ball. I've heard this quote somewhere. I forget who said it, but how you play without the ball shows how much you love your teammates, right? And when you're blocking, you want to be violent and you want to finish your blocks. Okay. So the thing he does here really well, he lines up perfect stance, exactly as if he was going to run a route. Hands together. You want to see those kind of more so a little bit spread out kind of, but we'll take it. The arms aren't crossed. Okay. Right here, off the line, good first step, rolls off that front toe. Look at the acceleration. Look at the burst. This defender has not even made a step yet. Okay. There. He finally goes to make a step, but his hips are still squared. This is what I'm talking about, where if your hips are squared, you're going to get pushed over. So his hips are squared, and look what happens. He accelerates violently into the block, sells the route, and before the cornerback quickly identifies it. But as soon as he identifies it, Michael Terry's already in his blind side, kind of throwing him around. It's a good release. Before the defender even makes his first step, he stacked him, and he attacked his leverage. And that's what you want to do. You want to attack their leverage. So if he's square and backing up, attack that. Force him backwards, because he's not on balance. If he's squared up, force him backwards, attack the leverage, and use that to your advantage. And then, of course, just right there too. And the finish, right? Nothing too crazy, nothing aggressive. He just kind of puts his weight on him just to make sure that he doesn't get up and get back into the play. All right. All right. So let's go into play 10. We're going to go to about 6 minutes. There's a lot of quarterback and running back stuff in here, but I didn't want to get too confusing with this breakdown. All right. And I hope a lot of this makes sense. Okay. So up top here, again, good stance. you see the defender is shaded inside or looking inside. So this is a good indication right here with his hips inside that he's playing some kind of zone, right? So this looks like some kind of zone. Otherwise, he would be a little squared up to him. This guy's playing zone. And then you have these two high safeties, which this is kind of almost a cover four look, playing off of them, cover four quarters style of look. All right. So first step, good. Rolls off the front foot. And you can kind of see it there just so you can see what I'm talking about with that rolling off of the front toe and how that's different from picking that foot up and putting it down. Okay. Rolls off the front toe, right? Gets up to speed. Okay. Cuts inside. All right. Fills the void right there. And that's exactly what you'd want to do against cover four quarters is you want to attack those little soft spots right there in that opening. And what he does is he took what the defense gave him, right? He knows the defender's hips are inside, right? Indicating zone. So he's going to, again, he is running full speed as if he's about to go vertical. Now, this guy here is trying to figure out what the heck he's going to do. His hips are still there. He's got to make a decision quick. All right. So he sees that he has outside leverage because he's going to want to push him up the sideline if he gets vertical. So all he does is he takes an aggressive plant inside and he's just going to kind of round this out and fill the void and just find that open area, find that soft spot and go get the ball. Attacks the ball. Those little plays make the difference when you understand what they're running against you and when you have the ability to attack based on that, the leverage. That's what the mind of the receiver is what makes a great receiver. Okay. Last play, just because we are a Big Ten West team and let's just go ahead and sometimes we like to do this, we want to spotlight this sometimes. Let's go ahead and watch him punt real quick. What do you say? All right, we'll watch him do this little jump pass here. Punters get love too, guys. Punters get love too. Not the best form, but what a boot. There we go. Bushini style. They just had to get that last one there on the film. I like how they highlighted him. But so overall, as you can see, just a very, very well-rounded player. Can do everything, and what he does well shows up on the tape, and he sticks to the fundamentals. This guy can play any of these positions probably at elite level. He's got a cannon of an arm. Quarterback fundamentals probably. He's probably not going to be a quarterback. Probably not going to be a running back. He will probably rotate into running back, but with his size and the running back room we have, he's probably not going to play there. He's going to probably be an X receiver, maybe a hybrid tight end. Might slide in the backfield here a little bit, but yeah, just a lot to like on his film. You love the way his patience is, the way he lets his blocks set up, and like I said in the beginning, he trusts his technique. He's never out of control, never plays too fast. You didn't see him one time in there lose his balance on any of those routes. I even went back to his freshman film, and a lot of the same stuff shows up on there. This is some of the stuff that's kind of intuitive to him or stuff he's worked on throughout his career. And that means when he gets to the next level, he is going to be able to build from a already elite kind of skill set of a base, and he uses physical tools to his advantage. He knows what he's doing. Good hands. He looks the ball in. His eyes, he sells everything with his body. His eyes are where they need to be at all times. And he plays every play as if he's getting the ball. And that's important. Again, the 1 of 11. You want to make sure that everybody is playing their part and doing their part because that takes the stress off of your teammates. So this a little bit of a film breakdown into Michael Terry. Some of y'all have been appreciating the film and liking the film. So if you do like the film breakdowns and stuff like that, just let me know in the comments. Let me know what you think I can do different with these, or if I'm, if I need to explain a little more in detail, if I'm going too much in detail, just let me know so I can amend these. And I plan on bringing y'all a ton of more film. I have 2023 Nebraska film, 2022 Nebraska film that I was able to get my hands on, and 2019 Baylor film. So I do plan on the future of having a really good video worked up for y'all. It's just going to take me time to go through all the film and break it down, showing what Matt Rule, Satterfield, and all them did at Baylor, Glenn Thomas, versus the play concepts they ran last year and what we can probably anticipate coming up in the next year that'll be different. And then we can compare it to kind of 2022, the offense under Frost, and see what the difference are and what some of these route concepts and some of these schemes that they're drawing up are. So, all right, everybody. Well, thank you again for tuning in to Nebraska Football, the voice of college football. My name is Justin Adams, per usual. If you like what we're doing here, please consider liking and subscribing. Tuesday live stream is tomorrow at 5 p.m. Mountain, 7 p.m. Central. So we'll see y'all there. Peace out.